Hello everyone and welcome to another Statwing for Appraisers tutorial video. Today we're going to be discussing multiple regression in Statwing. If you're not currently a Statwing subscriber, please go to www.statwing.com and in the sign up section, in the How Did You Hear About Statwing box, type in the code LONG TRIAL. That will upgrade you from a 1-week subscription to a 2-week, no credit card needed, free trial. Okay, let's begin. So I have some data already brought into Statwing. If you need a refresher on bringing data in, I have a YouTube video dedicated specifically to that, so check that out. But I've brought data in. I brought a raw market data set from a market area and with no parameters other than non-REO. Then I went over here to the left-hand side and selected all the variables that I want to use in this analysis. So as you can see, I have acreage, age, square footage, baths, bedrooms, garages, and so on. And then sale price is obviously checked. Now, one thing I'd like to point out here is when you click on the sale price, make sure that that little key is next to it. That way regression knows that that's what we're trying to solve for when we get to that point. Okay. One other thing that I did, but would like to point out is I filtered down on sale price because the comps that I'm using in this particular appraisal all range in the mid 200s. So I feel it's best, and I have enough data to narrow this down between $200,000 and $300,000. And to do that, you just click on the filter box right here, add a filter set, choose your variable, which in my case was selling price between 200,000 and 300,000, and done, and done, and there you go. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to describe all of these. So in the top left corner there you see the describe button, and when you click on the describe, it creates an individual summary for each of the variables that we've selected. And this is going to give us some insight into whether we might have some trouble when we get into the regression analysis. So here's a summary of acreage. As you can see, there's the median, the average, the sample size of 379, the standard deviation, minimum, maximum. Also, you can see that most of my data points here are under an acre. I've got some outliers here, which we'll address that a little bit later. And I'll just scroll through here quickly to show some of the other things. So there's age, square footage, basement finish, and we get down to full bathrooms. So the only categories in full bathrooms are 1, 2, 3, or 4. And as you can see in the 1, I only have 2 data points there. And then for 4 bathrooms, I only have 4 data points. Now, the Appraisal Institute suggests that we should have at least 6 data points for each category, so this could potentially be a problem. Half bathrooms looks good. Bedrooms, once again, could have a problem. We only have 1 data point there. And garage spaces, same. We've got just a few data points in some of these. As you can see, the majority are 2-car garages. And then the last one is just sales price. Okay, so let's go ahead and run regression. Now, before we do that real quick, I want to go over the confidence level. So up here, you can see mine set on 70%. Yours may default to 95%. If you just click on it, you can change that to whatever percentage. The Appraisal Institute suggests 70% for a confidence level, so that's what we're going to go with today. And now I'll go over here to the left. Regression will pop itself out there, and I'm going to hit it. Okay, so we get an output here, and before I get going, what I'd like to do is I'm going to enter in all the information for the subject property. So these are these little boxes next to the variables where you can just click in it, highlight, and change. And I'm doing an actual property in this market area that sold for $272,000. So I'm going to put in all the information for that. Okay, so I put that information in, and it gives me a value estimate here of 257,584. And at a confidence level, that's a range from 230,000 to 284,000. And remember, like I mentioned, this one just sold last month for 272. So that's one part of the regression analysis, is its predictive analysis. Next, we'll go into the individual variables. So here we have a constant of 171.5, and then contributory value of $30 a square foot, negative $256 a year for age, $7,900 for acreage, and keep in mind that's contributory value, not the actual value of an acre of land. Basement finish, full bathrooms, square footage of the basement, half bathrooms, bedrooms, and garage spaces. So as we look at this, there's a few things that kind of stand out. Obviously, garage spaces being $658, negative $6.49 for the square footage of the basement. So there's a few things that we need to handle here. Now, there's two ways to handle data like this in the analysis to try to clean things up a bit. The first thing is maybe trying to just narrow down that specific variable, like so garage spaces, for example. Now, if we go back down to the card on garage spaces, we knew that we were going to have some issues here, but let me just get to it. 4, not enough data. 3, we do have, at least we have more than 6, so that's good. Definitely good on 2. 1 and 0, we don't have enough. So there's a possibility we could just look at the difference between 2s and 3s and maybe get some insight that way. So the way to do that is to scroll back up to your regression and click on the filters button. And now, well, there's my filter earlier from price range, but now I'm going to add a filter. I'm going to choose garage spaces. And instead of in between, I'm just going to do equals, and I can select more than one. I'm going to equals 2 or equals 3. So if it's 2 or 3, then I'm only looking at 2 or 3s. And let's see what that did. So it's real close, says not quite significant, so it's on the edge, but I also see that there's a negative value here. So that method didn't work for getting a better garage space coefficient estimate. So the next thing that you'll want to do is, think in a kind of a match paired sense. You want to make all those things equal, because we can't solve for garage spaces in this regression analysis. So what we need to do to keep constant with the other variables is make sure that we're only looking at a certain set of garage spaces. And I think it's safe to just go ahead and look at 2s, because if you remember, there were plenty of those. So I take that out. Now I've narrowed it down, so all garages are equal. We're not worried about the value of a garage because there's no difference. And as you can see, things change a bit. My estimate value changed a little bit. Square footage changed, age changed a little bit. So each time you do something like that, there'll be a bit of a change. And once again, so bedrooms could have some issue, which we knew that going in. Square footage of the basement as a negative number is probably not correct. And I could just use those same methods for that again. So, for example, for bedrooms, more than likely the best thing to do in that scenario is probably just look at 4-bedroom homes. So bedrooms equals 4, and that takes that out of the analysis for the most part. And cleans things up a bit, and this looks much better now, with the exception of the square footage of the basement. So I'd probably end up removing that, and that would leave me with some some credible results here. I've got square footage, age. Age would be negative, obviously, as it gets older. It goes down in value. The basement finish, the acreage, full baths, half baths. And then look at my estimate. Remember I told you earlier this house sold for $272,000, so hit it on the head there. So that's it for today with the regression analysis. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the YouTube video section, and I'll answer those as promptly as possible. And I appreciate you watching. If you're not a Statwing subscriber, please go to statwing.com, and in the sign up section, type in the code LONGTRIAL in the How Did You Hear About Statwing box for a 2-week trial of Statwing. Thanks.